Tonight, we watched the final 2 episodes of the Last Dance documentary. Painful? Yes. Compelling? Yes. It brought back so many memories, good and bad, of 2 missed opportunities for the Utah Jazz franchise to win an NBA championship. It seems like a good time to look back from a Jazz perspective on those championship runs. So here we go. The finals here, starting with Game 1 in 1997 in Chicago. Karl Malone missed both free throws with the game tied and 9 seconds left, setting the stage for Michael Jordan to break their heart at the buzzer.
Here's Jordan. Yes! It is all over. The Chicago Bulls have won at the buzzer in Game 1 of the best of 7.
Jordan at 31, Scottie Pippen 27, and the Bulls take Game 1.
Seemed like Game 1 took a lot out of the Jazz because in Game 2 they had a tough time hanging with the Bulls. The mailman with a turnaround jumper for 2 of his team-high 20 points. But you know who else has that exact same move and does it so well? MJ knocking it down. Now the Jazz had just 11 points in the second quarter, trailed by 16 at the half. His airness brought the pretty reverse layup with him too. 38 points, 13 rebounds, 9 assists for Jordan. The Jazz trailed by 19 after 3 quarters. They did not recover, losing 97-85.
Home sweet home for the Jazz. Home cooking did them a lot of good. After a rough time in Chicago, Karl Malone came alive in Game 3. The mailman delivered 37 points and 10 rebounds. John Stockton, 17 points and 12 assists. Greg Foster was 17 off the bench. And the Jazz swing momentum in the series with a 104-93 win.
Game 4 was a tight one, but a fun one to watch. John Stockton's three-pointer in the final couple of minutes pulled the Jazz within 2. One of the greatest passes of basketball history would then happen.
Stockton fires down on the line. John Stockton gets the rebound. 1 bounce and no left hand on the ball over the top. Nothing Jordan can do.
Yeah, Stockton's heaved down the floor to Karl Malone for the bucket with less than a minute to go. Gave the Jazz the lead for good and evened the series at 2 each.
John Stockton would have been a great quarterback. The Jazz had gained confidence and taken momentum in the series going into Game 5 at home. And then we learned that Michael Jordan was sick. It seemed like a great opportunity for the Jazz to take control of the series. The Jazz led for 39 of 48 minutes. They led by as much as 16, but Michael Jordan turned in one of the greatest performances of his career. His three-pointer with 25 seconds left put the Bulls ahead for good. 90-88, the Bulls win. Jordan exhausted with 38. It turns out it was bad pizza.
Well, the finals returned to Chicago for Game 6, where the Jazz nearly pulled off the biggest upset of the series. Brian Russell hit a 3 with less than 2 minutes to go to tie the game at 86. It would stay tied into the final seconds. Jordan had 39 points, Pippen 23, but it was current Warriors coach Steve Kerr who was the hero. He made only 3 shots in the game, but this one with 5 seconds left put it on ice. The Bulls win their 5th NBA title.
This is a special edition of Eyewitness News. Playoff coverage from the sports specialists.
Gotta love the big dog. He was a big part of the Jazz bench during those finals runs, and he's helping set the stage for a look back at the 98 NBA Finals. After a great series in 97, we get a rematch the following year, which would be the highest-rated NBA Finals ever. The Jazz and Bulls both won 62 games during the regular season, but this time around, the Jazz swept the Bulls in the regular season to earn home court in the finals. 4th quarter of Game 1, vintage Stockton to Malone for the hammer dunk. In the final seconds, game tied at 79. Here comes Basketball John, a chance to win it, but this one is off the iron, so we go to overtime. Stockton owned that extra period. He scored 7 of the Jazz 9 points, and Utah take Game 1, 88-85.
Whether we shot well or not, I don't honestly know the answer to that. I know they're a great defensive team, and that's got to play a big part in any shooting percentage night for us. So I think what we did best was just hang in there and just keep trying to do what we do well, and it gave us a chance to win the game at the end, even though they made great comebacks.
After a big win in Game 1, the Jazz would let an opportunity slip away in Game 2. While Karl Malone struggled, making just 5 of 16 shots, Michael Jordan smelled blood. 37 points for Jordan, his and one with 47 seconds left. Put the Bulls ahead for good, and they even the series at 1 game apiece.
Just got to go down there and play. Now go down there and steal 1 or 2. So it's not over. It's 1 loss. We ran off 7 straight, so we got to lose 1 sometime. And this wasn't a good time to lose 1, but we lost it, so we just got to recoup from it.
All right, so the series would shift to Chicago for Game 3, which turned out to be a nightmare for the Utah Jazz. They shot 30% for the game. Karl Malone was the only player to play decent, but when he missed shots, the Jazz didn't get back, leading to easy Bulls buckets either and like there. Jordan had 24 points for the Bulls, while the Jazz shot just 1 of 9 from 3, just 21 shots made, and an NBA record low 54 points scored. They scored just 9 in the fourth quarter. It was brutal, 96-54 loss.
For the Utah Jazz, beaten by 42 and held to the lowest scoring output in the history of the NBA.
After agonizing through the worst loss in NBA Finals history, the Jazz have another chance for redemption. It's the ultimate gut check for John Stockton, Karl Malone, and the rest of the Jazz. The next 48 minutes of basketball could define the character of a champion.
The Jazz would play better in Game 4, but not as good as the Bulls. Michael Jordan, 34 points, Scottie Pippen, 28, and the Bulls take a 3-1 series lead with an 86-82 win.
I don't consider myself a hero last night. I consider myself one piece of the puzzle, just trying to mix in and blend in and just, just win ball games. That's it. Like you said, I'm disinterested. I don't care about winning and things like that. Jerry Sloan said that the other day. The hell with Jerry Sloan. People don't understand. I'm the winningest player in the last 12 years in the history of basketball.
So down 3-1, the Jazz facing elimination in Chicago in Game 5. Karl Malone took a lot of criticism for his finals performance, but he hushed the critics with a special Game 5 performance, perhaps the best of his career when you consider those circumstances. He delivered 39 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists on 17 of 27 shooting. The Jazz held Jordan and Pippen to a combined 11 of 42 from the field in an 83-81 win.
I was sitting there thinking about the whole thing. I mean, at one point I knew I wanted the ball, but no one knew what was going to happen. Isn't that ironic? I mean, that's part of my personality. That's the way things have always happened for me in my career, and I'm pretty sure everybody was hoping that would end that way, except for Utah people.
So now the Jazz return to Salt Lake City with hope and momentum. Game 6 at the Delta Center. This game had 18 ties and 8 lead changes. Michael Jordan with 45 points. The battle between Karl Malone and Dennis Rodman continued. Of course, it ended up having to be settled in a wrestling ring later that summer. We'll save that for another day. The big dog, Antoine Carr, with a big dunk. The Jazz led 66-61 after 3. Late in the fourth quarter, John Stockton gives the Jazz an 86-83 lead with 41 seconds remaining, but then Jordan takes over on both ends. A layup with 37 seconds left cuts the lead to 1. And then after stealing the ball from Malone, he broke the heart of Jazz Nation.
Chicago with the lead!
It happened, folks. John Stockton missed at the buzzer, and the Chicago Bulls celebrated their 6th NBA title in 8 seasons right here in Salt Lake City. Michael's last game as a Bull.
I don't want to talk about basketball anymore this summer. I don't want to sign a basketball this summer. I don't want to see a basketball at my house this summer.
It would be fun to do it again and see if we can get over the top next time. But I think realistically we all realize that some changes are always made, and that's the nature of this business.
I have another life, and I know I have to get to it, at some point in time, and hopefully the fans and the people understand that.